All right. Hello again, adventures, and welcome to another exciting episode of The Legend of the Three Kingdoms. Yes, this is one of my homebrew D&D campaigns set in my weird, messed up homebrew D&D campaign setting, and the people below me all played in my Metroid Inquest game, and we had a lot of fun, and I killed Dan's character. But he's not totally dead, and we're coming up with ways that he's not dead. So,
Allegedly.
allegedly, yeah. I am really sorry. I'm trying to get stuff fixed, and it's not fixing itself. Grr. Alright, there we go. Alright, better. So, announcements. The early access for the 2025, seeing as it's no longer 2024, Monster Manual starts in a little under a month. February 4th is when early access for that, starts. Wizards of the Coast is already doing their preview press for it. I have not watched any of it thus far because I want to go into it as blank and unknowing as possible to give it a fair shake. But I did release a few weeks ago. I did release an in-depth review of the 2024 Dungeon Master's Guide, and I was pleasantly surprised. There was still some stuff that I wasn't particularly fond of in it. The Bastion system just didn't do it for me. But overall, the 2024 Dungeon Master's Guide is probably the best DMG that Dungeons and Dragons has ever put out. So I am casually optimistic about the Monster Manual. I'm interested to see what they do to kind of change how things will work. Hopefully, challenge rating will be worth something in the new Monster Manual.
As they
'Cause
have demoed in a couple of live plays, they do make monsters hit harder.
yeah, I'm interested in a lot of the balance changes because right now, again, I've been running D&D 5th edition for 10 years, and creating interesting combat encounters is always a challenge. And a lot of times it requires you to understand the system significantly better than is explained anywhere in any book. Like you really have to play the game a lot to get to the point where you're good at creating combat encounters. And I'm not to that point yet. Yeah, hopefully. And compared to other systems like Lancer, the one that I just did, creating combat encounters was really fun because they have basically a bunch of different like basic stat blocks for a bunch of different monsters, and then you can attach, you have choices for them, like you'll have set stuff that comes with it, and then you'll have optional features that you can add on, and then you can also put these other, I can't remember what they call them, basically like classes onto those to add more interesting stuff to it. And it was an absolute blast to create this is stuff for a little Lancer. The same is true of Fabula Ultima. Had great monster creation stuff, and it was super fun to create monsters for that, and relatively simple to do it. I will never get over Open Legend and just how easy and fun it was to just build whatever I wanted in like a couple minutes. Oh man, Open Legend is my biggest letdown. Not because it wasn't a great system; it's a phenomenal system. But due to some mismanagement and stuff like that, it's basically a dead system. Like the people that own it have not published anything since it came out, and it sucks because it's an awesome system. So, yeah. Well, that being said, other stuff going on in the TTRPG world right now? January tends to be a little bit slow.
Today is the first episode to check it on Dropout of the second season of Dungeons and Drag Queens.
Interesting.
I thought it was which I thought was very interesting. Gotta love anyone whose drag name is Alaska Thunderfuck. That's her in real life name. That's not her character's name.
So that's a thing if you're into it. Uh, yeah, I'm trying to think of other stuff. I know there is nothing happening on Critical Role this week. They just sent out a message to their followers. I read it on
Yeah.
Facebook, but basically, I guess we should probably mention this. Currently, yet again, California is on fire, and it's looking right now like there's a lot of catastrophizing and stuff like that, and people talk about the end of the world and that. It's not the end of the world, but it's a big deal.
And
Like,
some people have lost their homes.
well, yeah, no, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's some people are theorizing that this might be the most costly wildfire in possibly American history, if not definitely
Well,
in the past like 50 years.
compare. I mean, as someone who lives in the wildfire state, uh,
Yeah.
most of our wildfires take place in the middle of nowhere. So when you hear like it burned 20 million acres, it's 20 million acres of forest, which can recover, especially like pines and stuff grow from a fire. But this started basically like right next to in the middle of residential areas and commercial areas. So that's what it's burning, though a lot of it is moving into more forested area faster than the residential area, which is probably thanks to the firefighters and, building codes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still burning homes
Yeah.
and businesses. So
And my understanding is the Palisades area that one of the fires started in is a very kind of high income area. And so
yeah.
the stuff that's burning there not only is, residential, but it's extremely expensive residential
Yeah, they're
stuff.
luxury homes.
So yeah, so Critical Role is not going to be doing anything right now. I believe they are, as far as I could tell from the message, they're not in danger, but it's affecting all of Southern California right now. Like it's a really really big.
And I'm
big
I'm
deal.
sure they have some cast or crew that's somewhere around there, and that's a concern. And they have their priorities
Yeah.
Well,
justifiably elsewhere focused.
I mean, I don't know exactly where, but I know that Critical Role is based out of where I live, Vermont. Uh, and luckily, Burbank is it's in the middle of all the fires, but it hasn't reached Burbank. Mostly because we're not, aside from the Burbank Hills, we're not extremely hilly.
Yeah.
We're more flat compared to the rest of LA, and it's harder for fires to spread on flat ground.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is just me saying. I know there are a couple different charities right now that are doing what they can to help in the area. If you do have additional funds, this is not, fun fact, this is not the time of year to ask for money. Like from a business perspective, this is the worst time of year for everybody. If you do happen to have disposable income or other ways that you can help, yes,
Donating blood, donating plasma.
yeah, donating blood, donating plasma. I know specifically there are charities that what they're focusing on doing is getting like food and sustenance to the people that have been displaced. I've heard that due to everything else that's going on in California, a lot of these shelters are full to overflowing, and so a lot of these people don't have places to go. So if you have the ability to help out, this is, yeah, losing your stuff is really, really bad. I'm not trying to downplay any of that, but the ability to get like a meal is a life changing after something like this. Like it is as crazy as it sounds. If you can get a decent meal, or even better, if you can get a hot meal after your life has been like that, can be the difference between, going into despair and finding that little bit of hope. It's surprising how much a good meal can change your outlook. So if you have the ability to donate, and again, my preference tends to be donating to people that are providing, food and sustenance, because it's a huge deal. And even if you don't lose everything, the first thing a lot of people forget to do is to kind of take care of themselves and eat and things like that. So if you can help out, I have a lot of friends that live in various parts of California, and so our hearts go out to them. Anything else happening that's not quite as dire in the tabletop RPG world? Cool. Well, with that, I think it's time for us to return to the legend of the Three Kingdoms.
Yeah, let's go to someplace less fucked up, like a Dread Realm.
The party has discovered a secret. After discovering the secret of the carriage, the party went hunting for the siblings that run Klausgate. However, as they were observing, they noticed something strange. One of the siblings seemed to act on his own. And as afterwards seemed to have an argument with himself. And the party realized that what's going on here may not be quite as cut and dry as they originally thought. So now, the party must decide, do they attempt to vanquish the commander's siblings, or do they attempt the incredibly dangerous job of attempting to save them from whatever creature is currently controlling them? So, it has been a long time since we've played, well over a month. If I remember correctly, you guys had kind of snuck around and you found kind of the music parlor, right? And you watched Elizabeth and I can't remember his name now.
Vincent,
thank you. Vinny. Elizabeth and Vincent kind of arguing and them dealing with somebody. And Vincent kind of jumped in the way, which seemed very out of character for him.
Like one of the servant, or one of the kids.
servant girl.
Yeah. And afterwards, Elizabeth left, and Vincent had an argument with himself. And I think you guys realized that there might be some kind of mind control, possession, something happening with Vincent specifically. Anything else that I'm forgetting? You guys are at full health and everything because you got a long rest, and you gummed up the carriage. So you think
There's some weird stuff as well, like the weird things about astral space. Because I remember Rowan had a little micro breakdown, having yet his perception of reality altered further. Astral space, sure, because the twins apparently were having rotted food transmuted to look fresh and consuming, and seeming to be okay with it.
so. Lots of cool, fun stuff. Very, G-rated. Seriously, after this campaign is done, my therapist is gonna have a field day.
Or PG if it's the 80s, just a lot of fucked up stuff. They let a lot of stuff slide in the 80s.
You ever see, what was it? The Guyver?
Yep.
I have some memories of that.
Mark
That-
Hamill. Oh my God! And then and then the freakiest practical special effects of being turned into like a grasshopper thing.
Yeah. Mark Hamill, like, it was, especially knowing now that Mark Hamill, like, people used to kind of clown on Mark Hamill because his portrayal of Luke Skywalker was not phenomenal. He wasn't, it wasn't a horrible performance, but when you compare him to someone like Harrison Ford, who is significantly more skilled than he was at the time, and Carrie Fisher, who did a phenomenal job, his portrayal comes off as a little bad. And then The Guyver comes out, and it's the worst acting performance you could possibly give. Like, everything about it is just every acting choice he made wasn't just the wrong choice. It was the worst choice he could have. It was like he was sitting there going, how could I make this actively worse? And then he would choose that when he was making his choices as an actor. And now that I've seen him do, like, especially his voiceover work where he's phenomenally skilled, I realized that something had to be going on in that movie. And the sequel was actually pretty decent. And Solid Snake plays the lead, so... Also, it's based on a manga that is phenomenal. Anyway, so I think when we finally left you guys, you were still kind of in the hidey hole.
Yeah.
Outside the parlor, right?
Looking through the fisheye lens.
Yeah.
Seeing Vincent was the last thing you think you have control here.
Mm-hmm.
Jams fork into his hand. Cries, weeps, sobs, and immediately back to normal.
Okay. So Vincent has left. You guys are now alone. What would y'all like to do? And as you guys kind of contemplate what has happened, one of the invisible servants kind of pushes past you guys and goes to start cleaning up the parlor now that it's empty.
Okay. That's interesting.
That's certainly a word for it. So,
Didn't you both say Commander's family wasn't exactly the best to begin with?
That's what Commander always said. Maybe they've been controlled longer than we're aware.
like the Dark Lord may have been manipulating things in Valkovia.
I wouldn't put it past him. He was opening portals there.
Hmm.
Well, we have to decide something. We can't allow them to keep doing this to the town, regardless of whoever's doing it. We need to find some way to stop this. We can't let any more innocent people be punished.
But how do you release this? Would a simple dispel magic work? I don't think so.
Well, we've already seen that they're capable of, whoever's been capable of doing multiple things. Layering spells, almost weaving them together. We still don't have how they're doing the majority of what they're doing, but if it's capable of free them, I just don't know how that is capable. Strictly speaking, it's not necessarily a possession, but as much as it's a kind of a control. Did I get the read that like it was a just to recap and clarify? Was it like a dual personality situation, like two distinct personalities in conflict?
Why don't you roll me? I'll let you choose between Arcana and Religion.
Let me think. Arcana or religion? What am I good at? Oh, religion. So I'll let Vala roll a 30 on that bullshit.
I mean, could I cross reference with my arcanic knowledge?
If you want to make an Arcana roll, you can.
Sorry, so 17.
17. So, as I've mentioned before, interplanar travel in the world of Mendacia is extremely difficult. Things like plane shift and stuff like that doesn't work the way it does in kind of a traditional D&D setting.
Sorry, I hate to cut you off. Would Relwyn know this?
You would be aware that because the spell plane shift exists, you would be aware that the spell plane shift for the most part doesn't work. Like it's really really difficult to get it to work.
Okay.
However, one of the ways specifically fiends from the Seven Hells have found a way around that so that they can manipulate other planes is through things like possessions and the things like that, because they're not technically crossing the planar barrier. They're just sending a part of them through. And possessions in and of themselves, very much like what happened with the actual church in real life, possessions have been used as kind of a boogeyman style explanation for a lot of different things, and have been used on a fairly regular basis to kind of root out some of the enemies of the church. Basically, we don't like you. Oh, they're possessed! We've got to take care of them. So you're familiar with both the fictional aspects of possession and how it actually works with your actual kind of clerical training. And what you observed was basically two beings inhabiting the same body, which is not a very common thing. Like, generally, if somebody is possessed by a demon, then the demon's in control. They're kind of locked in a cage in their mind. This was whatever was kind of in control was mostly in control, but it was obvious that whatever's in there had the ability to kind of break through and regain control in small ways, which is not something that you're familiar with. But you definitely saw two very distinct beings inhabiting the same body. Vala, did you want to make an Arcana check or no?
I rolled a 23.
23. So, yeah, again, very. So this is a similar, from a more arcane perspective. Again, the barriers between the prime material plane and then the upper and lower planes is just extremely thick and powerful, except for the two gates in the Kingdom of the Kale Isles. So, you've heard of using the astral plane as kind of a way in doing things like, what's it called? The spell where you can kind of leave your body and inhabit like an astral form.
Astral projection.
Astral projection, thank you. Astral projection has been one of the ways that some very powerful wizards have used to be able to explore other planes. And there's been kind of theories of how to use astral projection and spells kind of like that to basically either attempt to create another version of your body on a different plane so that you can actually interact there, or find ways to take over something over there that's a body equivalent. Kind of akin to the John Carter of Mars idea, where they basically create a new body when they teleport. There's been theories and stuff like that, but to your knowledge, it's never actually been done. But the astral projection walking and stuff to be able to experience other planes, some people have done that, and it's been a way that they've been able to get around the huge limitation of just having one gate to each area. So, does that make sense?
I think so.
Okay. So between the two of you, that's what you figure out.
All right. So,
So
how
a
do
Venn
we?
diagram between possession and astral projection.
Kind of. Like possession is just a very different way of going about it, and it generally involves blood magic effectively, which is not something that most mages will deal with because it flirts with it's kind of a mixture of divine and arcane magic.
With the differences also between possession being one entity just completely overtakes an unwilling creature, and this form of astral projection with two distinct entities vying for control, but essentially one becoming more dominant over the other more or less. Is it possible this was a voluntary act to start with?
That you're not sure about. The only kind of voluntary interactions you've ever heard of about with fiends involve warlocks, and that's not a possession, that's a gift of power. According to what you have been taught in the church, and the few you might have actually seen a real possession maybe once in your life. According to what has been taught to you in the church, possessions cannot be voluntary. Like even if someone was trying to get themselves possessed, demons don't like that. They don't work that way. Someone tried to do it, they just kill the body. The entire act of possession is very much an aggressive thing. Does that make sense? So that's what you've been taught. Whether or not it's true, you don't know, but that's what you've been taught.
So we think somebody is controlling Commander. How do we, or Commander's brother, Vinny? How do we free Vinny?
I mean, exorcism, but that's for possession. This is not strictly one or the either.
Well,
The
how does
first, I mean, the number one thing I think, regardless, would be incapacitating them.
okay.
I would imagine Elizabeth is probably the most concerning regarding to a magical resistance of any kind, whereas Commander is definitely very much martial, as we've already experienced. Now, he was able to command multiple things very simply with an animate spell, and turn that very much to his advantage. I can only imagine he may have set up in his house.
Right, the suits of walking armor and such.
Do we see, Jody, if we get a sense, because we have poked our heads out
Mhm.
to an extent, and its armors did show themselves up briefly in the cells, but we were able to avoid those detection.
Yeah.
Is the armor, are the suits of armor more or less focused? I'm sure there's some inside. Were they more focused on outside, or are they equal parts inside outside patrol?
Um, make me a insight check.
Okay. Uh, 15, 25.
25. Cool. So, first of all, the time that you have spent kind of looking into the parlor, you have not seen hide nor hair of a animated armor. Kind of figuring out where you have seen them and kind of putting the pieces together in your head. What it looks like is the armors protect from something coming from the outside. And so because of that, anywhere that is sequestered enough that the only way you could get there would be from the inside, they don't seem to care about. Like the parlor is far enough away from any entrances and stuff like that that the only way you could get into the parlor would be having already entered from some other part of the manor house. So there's no presence of the animated armors here because there's no need for them here. Does that answer your question?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
So we could very much try to incapacitate. They're getting ready to go to bed. We could make
Well-
sure they stay asleep.
There's an interesting possibility. I have this spell that I've been working on, where I could potentially have one of us enter somebody's dream. If Vinny is under somebody's influence or control, is he also under that influence control while he's asleep? We could try to reach out and communicate with him.
Interesting. I think that's a very valid thing. Something just occurred to me, and this is much as a question for Jody as it is posing to the group. If they have the ability to take a very quick long rest multiple times, why are they going the traditional route?
Well, when you're inside the carriage, time inside flows faster than it does outside. Presumably, that means they would age faster.
If they do age. I mean, if we're talking in terms of regular care and maintenance, we know what they're eating.
That's true.
Yes, but that might be the fiendish influence.
If it is fiendish. All right. A little bit of a side thought. So your idea, what is your idea is precisely, I'm guessing, to target Vincent with
Yes.
and deceive him or convince him?
Maybe try to convince him. Get an understanding. I mean, if he's under somebody else's control, maybe he would want to be free.
if you try to reach out to, I guess we wouldn't know until you do it. There is the risk that you converse with him, you might be alerting the other
Entity?
individual.
I mean, that's a possibility, but I don't know what we. I'm
He definitely has the stronger will of the two.
Vinny.
Yes.
I think so. I mean, for all we know, he would jump at the chance to be able to free him and his sister from this.
He does definitely seem more concerned with her than she does him.
Yes. I mean, the risks are we go in there and it's not Vinny's dream. This other individual is in there as well, or is in there instead. Or this other individual somehow gets wise to our plan, but I don't know that we have a plan. We could make him think we have a plan.
So that's definitely deception.
That would be deception. So if we go in there, we try honesty first. I know it'll be weird for me, but we could try honesty first. If that fails, then we go to deception. We
Can we
plant.
take other people into these dreams or no?
Sorry,
Is it
Oh,
just you? What Argento said.
I can take myself, or if somebody else would like to go in, I can let somebody else go in my place.
Oh, so it's only one person regardless. It's
I believe it is just one person.
can't say a rider. Okay.
Well, I mean, somebody can ride. There can only be one rider. Message shapes creature's dreams. Choose a creature known to you. Spell must be on the same plane of existence. Oh, the spell doesn't work on elves. Weird.
Elves don't sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Theoretically, they don't dream then. They just trance.
Right. So you or a willing creature you touch enters a trance state, acting as a messenger. One, the trance messenger is aware of his or her surroundings, but can't take actions or move. The target sleeps, the message appears in the target's dreams, and you can converse with the target as long as it remains asleep for the duration of the spell. Shape. You can shape the environment of the dream, creating landscapes, objects, or other images. The messenger can emerge from the trance at any time, ending the effects of the spell early. Target recalls a dream perfectly upon waking. If the target is awake when you cast the spell, the messenger knows it and can either end the trance or wait for the target to fall asleep, at which point the messenger appears in the target's dreams. I mean, the messenger appear. You can appear monstrous or terrifying. And if so, then you can only deliver a message of 10 words, and then the target must make a wisdom saving throw. Failed save. Yeah. If we have a body part, such as a lock of hair, clipping from a nail, or similar portion of the target's body, the target makes a saving throw with disadvantage.
That's if we're trying to scare him in a dream.
Yeah, I don't know that we're trying that. So, yes, one of us could enter his dream and have a conversation with him. Or try to scare him. I don't know that we want to do that. Especially if we're trying to open with, we'd like to help you, potentially gather information, and if things go south, then we tell him about our super weapon.
I mean, if we're going to go into his dreams, I think maybe I should do that. I have an idea.
I'm fine with that.
Right.
I mean, yeah. I think you were closer to commander, so
That is part of the idea. Commander, I mean.
no. This would lean more towards deception, but you could appear as commander.
I had a few ideas, but since I, with the spell, can manipulate the dream, that is a possibility.
Do we have any more of that potion that gives you a charisma boost?
Oh, you mean the loose lips?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
Rel went down the last of that.
Argent is very charismatic.
Jody
It'll
the
be-
God is not
it'll be
going to let
fine.
you have that.
No. I was not talking about for myself. I don't need it.
You could lie and create a new demi-plane. I'm not...
I mean, my persuasion's only plus 11. There are limits. All right, so we should probably find a quiet corner where we can group up for the night. I could. Oh,
Well,
wait.
we've all essentially had a long rest.
Yeah, all of you guys are feeling great. Like you guys got a full 8 hours.
Right. Well, I'm simply
Well,
pointing
the
out.
Death Warden too.
I'm simply pointing out. I'm going to be concentrating on a spell for
Yeah.
1 minute and 8 hours, and Argenta is going to be in a trance for 8 hours and will be unable to move. So.
Well, up to 8 hours. It
Up
might
to.
not. It might not take 8 hours.
Correct. Plan for the worst, hope for the best.
So while you two are busy, it'll be me and Leanne.
Standing watch.
Just very quiet. All right. So I guess we go back into the tunnels, the
Mhm.
servants' passages,
So
and then
where would you guys like to go?
We'll have to be out of the way of the unseen servants.
I mean, we could be in that the chamber where they all connect because it's big enough.
Would that also be the most traffic?
But these servants don't seem to really care about us. As long as we're not
They
in
can
their
go-
way.
As long as they can go around us.
Yeah. Which is why that chamber's perfect, because it's big enough.
so
I'm
I think-
I'm assuming it's like a circle jetty.
Effectively, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably like
we go back.
15, 20 feet in diameter. Like it's a big central chamber.
Yeah, that's perfect then. You can like post up against the wall.
Okay.
And Roland will just be like once every minute. He's going to be guidance, 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 guidance.
All right. So you guys are
Little
able to
egg-
get
his
back
little
to.
egg timer.
You guys are able to go back to the central chamber. That particular spell that I'm going to look up right now. I probably should have looked up earlier. What's it called again?
It is the 5th level spell Dream.
Yeah, the last
Dream on.
the last actual level of leveled spells before you get to theoretical leveled spells.
Yeah.
Hey! I if I need to, I do have this thing called a sixth level. I've only got
Yeah,
one of
but-
those.
The first level of theoretical leveled spells.
That's right.
All right. So the spell itself is a relatively complex spell, and unlike most of the spells that you cast where they just kind of happen as you do everything. This one takes a pretty decent amount of prep work. And so as you start kind of drawing the arcane symbols on the ground that you need, and being in a circular room actually kind of helps, because you can go to the walls and draw sigils and things like that will help kind of amplify the signal and turn it back on itself. So the spell normally takes about a minute to kind of prep everything. You take a little bit of extra time to give yourself the best chance you can. And after about 10-15 minutes, you guys have all watched Vala just kind of going around and writing on various surfaces, and every so often she'll take out like just sand out of her pocket and just kind of shh. And then another time you'll see her like take out an inkwell and just kind of like dab her finger in it and draw over here and stuff like that, like just seemingly random stuff. And at the end, everything's set up, and you can see a space kind of in the center of everything that's been creative that is just large enough for Argenta to lay down comfortably in.
I'll go and lay down in it.
Okay. Vala, as you start kind of focusing, you picture in your mind's eye Vincent. And as you do, you start noticing you're having a hard time picturing him in your mind's eye. I want you to make a saving throw with your spellcasting ability modifier.
So charisma saving throw.
Sure.
I'm sorry, I can never remember. Does Lillian have an aura going on?
I don't think she's high enough to have an aura yet. No, she's only level 3, so you don't get auras until 5.
So I got plus 11 to that, so
Okay.
a total of 12.
Impressive. So as Vala, as you are sitting there kind of focusing, trying to picture Vincent in your mind, and then trying to use that as kind of a bridge between you and Argenta, something goes wrong. You're not quite sure what it is at first, but you feel this kind of cold feeling all around you. You feel this kind of chill that goes down your spine, and as you inhale and exhale, your lungs feel like they're filling with freezing cold air. It kind of burns every time you inhale. You suddenly feel something drop on your shoulder, and something inside of your head, and another shoulder in your hand. You start kind of looking at yourself, and you notice your hand's wet. You kind of feel your shoulders wet too, and then more and more, and suddenly you're surrounded in this almost torrential downpour. The raindrops themselves are big, thick raindrops that every single one that hits you, you feel the weight of it. The clothing that you're wearing feels 30 pounds heavier than it normally does, as it seems to almost, the rain seems to be attracted to your clothing and is being absorbed into it, like you're wearing one giant sponge. As you try to kind of shift around, you notice the ground is not as solid as it used to be. You look down and there's grass beneath you. The room is still really, really dark though. Suddenly a huge peal of thunder happens and you see the area around you lit up as a bolt of lightning goes across the sky, and you are in a field. But this is not just any field, because soon after the light fades from the lightning, you see light, flashes of light from various places all around you. This is not the bright white light of lightning. This is a dull red. You've seen flashes like this before. Every time the commander, or now Argenta, fires fury, the explosion that propels his bullets to find their enemies happens over here, over here. Suddenly, something whizzes past you, faster than an arrow. Another thing. Soon the ground next to you explodes as a small, round musket ball hits the ground next to you. It leaves about a 3-inch divot. You realize you're on a battlefield and you're under fire. All around you, you keep seeing these little explosions happen. For brief moments, you can see the faces light up as people with large rifles seem to be firing, and you're, for lack of a better term, you seem to be in the no man's land in between two battling armies. What would you like to do?
I assume I'm by myself.
Yes, you are.
Okay. I will try to find some place to take cover
Okay.
to get my bearings.
Make a perception check.
Can you cast Banish on yourself?
With disadvantage. Because of the rain and everything.
21.
21. Okay. So as you're looking around, another bullet flies far too close to you. You feel the wind of the sonic boom following it, and you actually feel a different kind of wetness for a moment. You realize that you've just been grazed, and you have this tiny little abrasion that if you've ever cut yourself on your face for any reason whatsoever, you know it just bleeds like crazy. So you have this tiny little abrasion above your eye that's starting to leak blood into your eye. You're blinking it out and wiping it off. You suddenly can see a mound that it seems there might be someone hiding behind it, but it's the most cover that you can see right now. What would you like to do?
I will head for that mound.
As you bolt over there, as soon as you move, the ground that you were sitting behind kind of pops as like 4 different bullets hit right where you used to be standing. You immediately kind of fall to the ground and have to kind of military crawl, and you eventually find yourself behind not just a hill or something, a mound that has specifically been dug out and created to be a tiny little bunker. As you take a moment to breathe, you look around and you can see you're not the only person in this bunker. There's a gentleman there wearing a uniform that you haven't seen in a very long time. It is the uniform of the standing army of Valakovia. But you recognize the face. Right next to you is seemingly the commander.
Does he look older, younger?
He
About the
looks
same.
probably a little bit younger, and it's not quite the same face that you remember. The commander had some scars and things on it. There are no scars on this face. And you notice instead of fury, which never left Commander's side, there is a rather well-worn rapier on this person's hip.
I will just, Is he looking at me? Is he like staring?
Right now, he's trying to press himself down because as much as this is a dugout area that's designed, it's not particularly tall. It might be like maybe 2 feet tall. So he's doing everything he can to try and make himself as small as possible to get as much defensive benefit from this as possible.
All right. I will crawl over to him and just go. So, is this your first time, or
Rapier comes out immediately, kind of thrusts at you and misses completely.
friend?
Where did you come from? Are you the
Just
you the reinforcements? Where's the rest of you?
I'm all they can spare.
One person? One?
I have a lot of gifts. Are you okay?
No, I'm not okay. Do you see what's going on here?
A little bit.
This isn't how it's supposed to go. Captain Fox, he told me to take this, but there's no way that this... We're surrounded.
It's okay.
No, it's not okay. I was given command. This is my command. He trusted me. All my men are dead.
Well,
We have to sound a retreat. If we can remake the battle lines, then maybe we can salvage some of this. What are your orders? What? I mean, you have to be here for a reason.
I'm here to help you.
Okay, how? What do you have?
I have magical talents. I I can be very
He kind
convincing.
of grips you by the back of the shirt, and he slowly kind of pushes you up so you can see over. And he does too. And as you look over, a bullet goes skewing past you, kind of makes you duck down again, slowly gets up. And as you kind of look, another bolt of lightning strikes, and you can see bunkers in various different places, along with like little kind of half walls and stuff like that. And you can just see probably 100, 150, just from a casual kind of glance, of troops, all armed with various firearms, and in significantly better cover than anything that you've got here.
Okay.
And he kind of brings you back down. So, how are you going to deal with that?
So, you said we're surrounded. Is it just them over there that we need to deal with? Are your men...
My men are dead. I was supposed to be reinforced. They never came, or apparently they did, and they said one lousy magic user.
Where are their munitions stored?
Don't know. Probably far enough away that you can't target them. What army marches with their munition stores on the battlefield?
It was a simple question.
Suddenly you hear footsteps behind you, and as you look over, you see an imposing figure. This one's not wearing kind of regular army attire. This one is in a decorated musketeer uniform. Where are you from again? Are you from Valakovia or
No, I'm from Sanguinius.
Sanguinius? Okay. So you probably wouldn't recognize the insignia on the collar. But one thing you do recognize is he's standing. He's walked directly up and he's standing. Bullets are going flying. Nothing seems to be hitting him, though. The other thing that's kind of remarkable about him is the face looks oddly familiar. Like you can see bits of it that remind you strongly of the commander. But he has a full beard. And there's just parts of it that are different. You know, he has a little bit kind of a stronger jawline. His nose is different. His eyes are different. But there's definitely a resemblance. He's also significantly older. You think that this person's probably in his mid-40s, 50s, somewhere in there. You can see bits of gray in his beard. He comes over, and he seems to almost completely ignore you for a moment. And he just looks down at the person next to you. Vincent, what have you done? I did what you told me to do. There's just too many excuses. That's what I hear. Excuses. I gave you command. What did you do with it? These men trusted you. You led them to their deaths. If Booker were here, he could have led these men to victory. You led them to be slaughtered. No, Captain Fox, I've been doing everything. Don't call me that. You are such a waste. Every day.
At this point, Vala will stand up and say, "What is your problem?"
You should do that. Make me an evasion... Not evasion check. Let's try this again. Make me a dex save.
Okay. Can't be any worse than before. 21.
21. As you're sitting there, you hear something kind of whizzing. You kind of move as a bullet goes right through where your shoulder was a few moments ago. Continue.
What is your problem? You set him up for failure. If he wasn't ready for this, then why did you put him in this position?
Every day, I pray to the Dark Lady that she send Booker back to us and take you in his stead. You're such an embarrassment. To think your twin got all of the useful bits and you were just whatever was left over. Do you know your mother cried for a month after Booker disappeared? Do you know how often she's cried when you've been gone?
At this point, Follow will slap him.
Okay. Make me a strength-based attack roll.
Oh, good. Well, I rolled a 3 and it's +0.
Okay. So as you attempt to slap him, the ground beneath you is still kind of slick. It is turning into kind of mud, and so you kind of stumble and just kind of whiff completely. You sorry excuse for a fox. Can't believe you even get to use that name. It's disgraceful. What you should do: get up, follow your men. The least you can do is die next to them instead of cowering here. like a coward.
Vala will try a different approach
Okay.
and say, and die here for what? What are you fighting for? There's no chance. The only coward I see here is you. And I will use vicious mockery
Cool.
on that. So a wisdom saving throw,
What's the DC?
19.
Okay. Well, that's a nat 20.
Can't win.
He seems completely unaware of your presence. But Vincent now stands up and looks at you and goes and tries to just take a swing at you.
What did I do?
Does a math is hard. I don't have his stat block off. Hold, please.
Holding.
Here we go. Does 23 hit your armor class?
Yes.
Okay, you take 6 points of damage as he clocks you across the jaw. He goes, "You shut your mouth. It's my father you're talking about."
No. He may be your. This man is no father. No father sends their son out to die.
He didn't.
No father talks down to their child like this. You don't deserve this, Vincent.
If I was a better leader, if I was like Booker, if I could command like he could, they wouldn't be dead. This is my fault.
No, it's not. Either you were ready to lead, or you weren't. And if you weren't, then the one that put you in charge is at fault. Your value is not based on leading men into battle to die. That is not courage. That is folly.
Make me a persuasion check with advantage.
Ooh. 31.
You can see the doubt kind of forming in his face, in his eyes, and you can see kind of the cognitive dissonance starting to happen. No, Booker could have done this. He wasn't. I should be able to do this. I've had the same training. I've had the same experiences. I should be able to do this.
You are not your brother. You can't be judged by that. You can only be judged by who you are.
But
you came out here and faced this. That is courage. You should be proud. Now, why are we just standing here in the middle of this battlefield, in a battle that is lost?
I lived, and Booker died. It's my duty to do what he can't anymore.
It's your duty to die? You must live for your brother, to honor his memory.
Suddenly, you feel a hand on your shoulder grip it hard enough for you to feel pain. And you're spun around, and now the captain is now seeming to acknowledge you. You! Who are you? What are you doing here? You don't belong.
I would say you're the one who doesn't belong here.
You see him kind of focus on you, and your head starts to hurt for a second. Nothing happens, and you can see this look of disbelief in his eyes. You're not here. And he kind of steps back. Who are you? How did you get here?
Well, that's a great question. My name is Valraven Einanderlicht. And I am here because you are causing problems for me and my friends, I believe. Why have you taken control of this man?
You see him smile. Dreamwalking. Interesting.
And who are you? You're not his father, I know that much.
No. His father, much stronger than this whelp. He kind of looks up. This isn't fun.
Can I
Suddenly,
try
everything's-
stopping the rain? Or did he just do that?
He just did that.
Yeah, okay.
And Vincent kind of gets up and he's looking around. Adults are talking. And he does this. He watches Vincent just flies away. And you see him start like cracking his neck. So. And you notice as his form starts to shift and change a little bit. You notice his voice starts to change as well. So. You've come into my realm, and you think that a smart move. Oh, this is beautiful. And as he's walking around, the room is slowly starting to shift. You see a pillar just kind of appear. You see the ground start to kind of dry up. The grass starts to fade away. You see stones before you. Suddenly you're no longer in a battlefield. You are in the middle of a strange
Oh, shit.
room, which the audience might be able to see as well if I did this right. Yeah. Middle of a strange room with symbols painted on it. So, you have some talent with magic, and you somehow think that gives you power in my realm. Oh, you're
No.
adorable.
No, I know where I get my power from. Someone much more powerful than me. And as long as we're going to be honest with each other, Vala will attempt to reshape herself a little bit.
Okay.
And basically she's going to make herself look like a vampire.
Okay.
So, like a little bit like she'll think back to the vampires that she's seen. She's seen many at this point, and just like the fangs, the skin a little bit, the eyes.
Okay.
And just
Go
kind
ahead
of draw
and
herself
put
up a little bit and try to get that confidence.
Go ahead and put your mini on the map wherever you would like it. You also noticed as his form starts to change, his skin changes to a kind of I couldn't find one with red skin, but he has kind of a more kind of a dark red appearance. He also grows, so now he's easily about 10 feet tall. Still proportioned like a regular human, just a very large one. Ah, so you're one of those vampires. Not quite smart enough to understand how to gain real power.
By torturing a young man in
No.
his dreams, pretending. Are you? Does he have daddy issues, and that's your thing? Because if that is, then I can totally similar wavelengths.
This is a job.
I know.
No, real power comes from
Money.
the seven hells. There's pure, unadulterated power that flows through every single one. And when you know how to focus it, how to bathe in it, that is real power. You vampires think living a long time somehow makes you mighty. I have lived longer. I know when the first vampire drank his first drop of blood.
So, this is a job for you.
Means to an end.
So, let us talk professional to professional.
You, a professional? By what do you claim that title?
I am here in your realm, uninvited.
So you see him kind of taken aback by that. Good point. All right, professional.
So, what are you getting out of this?
I'm getting existence. Once the Dark Lord perfects his world, he will give me my own, where I'm not a slave to the gods. We don't have to worry about them intervening anytime their precious mortals stub a toe, get a boo-boo. No, we will be our own gods. We don't have to work within the confines of the rules of magic. We make our own rules. Everything will be the way I design it.
Well, first, that sounds awfully boring. I mean, having to create all of the rules to run a society, to keep the illusions up. This world runs on suffering. That, how do you keep that imaginative over all of the years? I don't think you're fully understanding the kind of work that will require. But moreover, when the Dark Lord perfects this, do you think you've worked with the Dark Lord? Does he seem like the kind of guy to share power, to share his information and knowledge?
Make me a persuasion check with disadvantage.
I'm hoping for another roll like I got last time. Persuasion, disadvantage. Come on. Natural 1.
He would be a fool to deceive me.
He is a fool. Has he paid any of his contractors yet?
Sorry.
You laugh, but it's a valid point.
No, it's a valid point. In my mind, I'm sitting there, it's like, well, the guy that came in and did the plumbing got paid, so.
Yeah, but the other guy worked on spec, and you don't do that.
I made a pact with a demon, and I got paid up front.
No, you don't understand how the world works. I mean, you don't get upfront payments. You get part of it up front, and then the rest of it afterwards. Sorry. Then you have to deal with the union, and so he looks at you and he just kind of giggles, like you could offer anything better. He appreciates what I bring. It's not
Does
very
he-
often you can pull a lord of hell into your service.
Does he send you a fruit basket? How does he show this appreciation? I worked as one of his inquisitors for a year or so, and I never got a card, never got a bonus.
That's because you were here to suffer. I am here to rule. Look what he's given me. I have, and he kind of brings over Vincent again. I have my toy. And unlike in hell, where all we have is their souls, and the only thing that we can do is watch them slowly lose the best parts of themselves so that they can go back to live again, live another life, that they will gain more and more vices and pain, only to be sent back to us so we can rip it out of them again in this boring, disgusting cycle. No, here I have the full thing. I can mold his flesh however I want. I can play with his soul. I can destroy his mind. Everything is mine to control.
For this one person.
For now,
And what happens when this poor man, realizes he has the power to fight you?
he has no power. Look at him. And he brings him over, just kind of suspended. He's worthless.
No, he's not. He just hasn't found his worth yet.
Yes. Well.
When he stops living in his brother's shadow, when he starts actually looking out for his sister, I feel sorry for you.
But he can't. Can you? And he brings Vincent over. How many times have I given you the chance to save your sister? To do anything, and all you do is cower in fear. Because you are weak. You are worthless.
No, he's not.
And look at this. He turns him back to you. He needs this. I give him power. I give him purpose. Without me, he would be nothing.
He's had power and purpose all along. He doesn't need you. One day he'll realize that.
Make a persuasion check.
26.
26. Nothing you say matters. I have complete control. And as he says that,
What about?
Vincent turns. And a normal person would not have noticed a thing. But you're in your manipulator mode. You're watching for micro expressions, things. You see the tiniest spark of fear in the eyes of the demon. But he instantly hides it. Yes. What would you like to say? And he's addressing Vincent. You can see Vincent is fighting everything he can. I lived a long life after Booker died. And my father said he was proud of me. You lie. That's what you wanted to hear. Do you really think when his favorite son was thrown off that cliff. Do you really think he was doing anything but placating you? So he didn't have to go through the process of losing the other one, the worse one. You delude yourself, and this, she's not even here. She's a figment of your pathetic imagination, here to make you think that something you do is worth something. It's not. It's a lie. I am the only thing that gives you value, that gives you purpose. And maybe, if you are very, very lucky, I will one day allow your father to see the magnificent creature you have become. With my help.
Don't listen to him, Vincent. Real power comes
Shut
from
up!
family.
And he kind of turns to you, and you can feel the power coming from him, but it's not like you can feel the power, but it's not affecting you. It's kind of like you can see the wind blowing, but you don't feel it on your skin.
I'll give a little. So, since this is going to fall apart shortly, I offer you a counter proposal.
He's listening.
Why torture Vincent when you could torture the Dark Lord?
You are dumber than you look.
Well, I look rather smart, so probably. But no, why? Is it because you're afraid? Or because you're complicit? You're willing to play second fiddle?
I do not feel fear. I create it. I revel in it. But this realm is a creation of the Dark Lord, and I exist in it because he wills it. If I turn on him, all that happens is I stop existing here.
What if I can deliver his soul to you?
Ha ha ha! The Dark Lord has no soul. If he did, he would not have been able to do what he did.
I mean, yes, he is a soulless son of a bitch. But does he not have a soul itself? Wait a minute, do vampires not have souls?
You,
Fala is thinking about this in her head.
you have shown your hand, and it is pathetic. I need you to make a wisdom saving throw with disadvantage.
Oh. Do vampires not have souls?
As Vala is doing this, Jody,
20. Of
So
the
sh-
dirty variety.
so we're aware her spell didn't work on me, right?
Yeah.
But is she seemingly in the trance herself?
As far as you can tell, yeah. I mean, it looks like this spell is working. You're not going anywhere.
Okay, so given there's been some time, Argenta's basically going to have looked at all of the runes that she wrote, look at Vala, and realize there must be some sort of connection, and try and portal sense.
Ooh, okay. Guess for lack of a better term or a better skill, make me a perception check? Unless you have another skill that you think fits better for you trying to divine a portal that's not a portal.
No, perception does make sense.
Okay. I mean, this is an interesting thing.
I default to athletics. No, I'm kidding.
Take heroic inspiration.
All right. Well. All right, so 21.
21. Okay. So, your ability to sense portals is kind of tied to the ability, the fact that portals in and of themselves are wrong. In the idea that they, other than the two portals in the Kingdom of the Kaya Isles, any other portals that exist are somehow fractures of reality or kind of holes that have been poked into the fabric of the planar barriers, and so that's partially how you're able to sense them, is the fact that you are so hyper tuned with the planes in and of themselves that when something goes wrong, you recognize it. And so as you're trying to kind of focus on something going wrong, you suddenly can see something that's not quite a portal, but it definitely has that same kind of wrongness aspect to it, where something is warping reality in a way it's not supposed to. And you can see that it's kind of centralized in the middle of this room right now. It's not exactly a portal, but it kind of feels similar. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, Rowan.
Had a question. Now, since from our perspective, the spell, in like you were supposed to go in, and Vala is clearly, Vala clearly went when she failed her save. Did anything bad look like happen, or did she just go like the spell did, but Argenta didn't go too?
Since none of you guys have ever seen this spell working, you guys wouldn't really be able to tell if it's going right or wrong. Like the only reason Argenta knows that it's not going the way it's supposed to is Argenta's not in a dream right now.
Yeah.
And so, for as far as you know, this is what's supposed to happen, except that Argenta's not there.
But we do also know that she was intending to go talk to Vincent, and we were theorizing that certain bad things could happen. I was wondering, since how long would you say? Because I know dream versus reality. How long would you say it's happened for us?
I would say, well, Argenta, how long would you have just kind of laid there waiting for something to happen before you would have gotten up and started realizing, okay, something's
Probably
going
like
wrong.
a minute.
Okay. So let's say
I don't know how long Relwyn would have known. Like, she's down. Are you awake?
let's say about maybe 15 minutes total has passed, because it took Argenta a decent amount of time to kind of go around and look at all the arcane symbols on it. So let's say about 15 to 20 minutes has passed at this point from your guys' perspective. So we're technically going back in time just a little bit, because you've spent more than that amount of time in the dream thus far. So yeah, 15, 20-ish minutes.
Shoot. That's not good. Did you go at all? Did you feel anything?
But her eyes are kind of like shining a bit different. You've seen her use her portal sense before. She just usually closes her eyes. No, but I see something. This is going to be weird. It might backfire, but trust me and have my back when I do this.
Okay, and then Rowan, like, oh, well, now I'm definitely doing it. Bless.
Okay.
So Argenta, I mean, she moves between planes with the cloak, and she has primeval awareness where she can like sense if a fiend is within a certain location.
Mm-hmm.
So she's essentially going to see if, because she can sense where this thing is, if she can in any way see what's happening or can enter it even partially.
Okay. Let's do it this way. If you want to use your cloak as a method to kind of enact this transportation to where you think Vala might be. I'd say it will use all the charges in your cloak, and anyone that's going with you and you will all have to make intelligence saving throws. So
Okay.
if you want to bring the whole group, you can attempt it. Everyone except Lillian, because she's not here right now, she'll make it when she actually comes.
Do you want to come with me, Roland?
Well, if we're all going, will this also take Vala?
Technically, Vala's there.
Well, I
But
mean, no,
physically,
her
Vala
her
is.
physical.
You don't know. This is something that has literally never been done in the existence of the world.
Well, I'm asking Argenta, like, will this be taking
I
Argenta's
don't
body
know.
with us too?
I don't know.
To be fair, Argenta doesn't know if it's going to take you guys either.
I guess we can try. Worst case scenario, maybe Lillian can stay behind and watch over Vala. I don't know.
All right. I'm
Might
gonna
not separate
attempt
us,
it.
but
All right. So as you sit there and you start using the kind of connection to the various planes that your cloak has, even in this kind of demi-plane of existence, you start kind of focusing on and trying to shift to whatever this plane is that you can kind of see the portal to. And as soon as it starts to work, you feel this kind of overwhelming feeling of dread, like you really screwed something up. And like I said, I need intelligence saving throws from everybody.
I'll be using that inspiration.
inspiration plus D4.
Yeah, don't forget your bless.
does
Vala,
not
you do
include
not
Vala.
need. Yeah, you do
Okay.
not need that.
Vala's not part of everybody.
Thank you for the D4 because totals of a 21.
Okay.
Intelligence saving throw 19 plus 3, 22 plus 2, 24.
Okay. So both of you feel this overwhelming sense. I don't know if you guys have ever been in a situation where you did something and you realized, oh, I'm majorly fucked up. It is a life-changing experience to have. That is what you guys are feeling right now. You feel the bottom of your stomach just drop out. Your entire body goes cold. Everything around you starts to shift and twist, and it definitely feels like something is going very, very wrong.
Is this like when we were below the town, or different feeling?
Different feeling. Well,
Okay.
I guess for you,
Because I'm talking like the unweave
it's like
radiation feeling.
kind of like second cousins. It's not directly related, but it's kind of similar.
Wrong adjacent. Okay.
Yeah. It's a whole new different kind of wrong.
Oh, a new form of anxiety. Cool.
I've given you a new. So as
This
you're
comes in Chipotle?
which one would you like? We've got blue, satin, or salmon. You guys start feeling like little pinpricks all over your skin that start to get worse and worse, and eventually start feeling it like you're being stabbed all over. Your head starts to ache, like your mind is being ripped out and ripped into tiny little pieces. You both start to kind of involuntary scream in pain as you are just overwhelmed with these feelings, and then suddenly you find yourself in this strange room. You can see Vala there, though not quite looking like the Vala you remember. You see this large, 10-foot tall, demon-looking creature standing there. and you both feel just very, very spent. Vala, as you're kind of standing there, you suddenly look around, and next to you is Relwyn and Argenta.
Hmm. Oh, hey
Argenta,
guys.
Argenta points at Relvin. The cloak does a return trip, so get ready for that in reverse at a point.
I believe I was making a wisdom saving throw.
Yeah,
I got a 20 on that.
20. Okay.
Plus D4.
Oh, I did not add a D4 to that.
He doesn't get a D4 because while his physical body was there, he
Oh,
was
this still doesn't apply.
no, unfortunately not. I gotta remember what that was doing. Hold, please.
I
We
mean,
see
we
the-
could
we
just
see the
ignore it if we need to.
We see the delineation between thoughts and prayers.
All right. Take 47 points of psychic damage
Excuse me?
as he sits there and he kind of rips. Go ahead.
I got a 20.
Yeah.
40, 47?
Yeah. DC 21.
Oh. Son of a biscuit.
As he kind of rips you out of whatever it was, and now, again, before, like, when his power kind of expressed itself, it felt like you were watching it from a different place. Now you feel like you're really here.
I
Yep.
would like
I
to
think-
hellish rebuke.
I said a slight question. Is Vincent also here, you said? Because he got pulled in?
You guys haven't seen Vincent as of yet, because you literally just got here, and I
Okay.
need to resolve what was happening right before you got here, before we do more stuff. So,
Oh, this happened before we popped in.
yeah, right before you
Oh,
popped it
okay.
is when the thing happened. So, yeah, so now you feel like you are really, really here. But you have friends.
Ah.
And he kind of looks really confused. The demon kind of looks, well, this is surprising.
I thought we were keeping this professional.
Wait, does Val look like a vampire right now to me?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes, yes, she does.
She's it's a very Vala-esque vampire. Like, you could definitely
What's going
see
on?
the hints of Vala.
Hey guys, I'll explain. I'll explain later.
I would say, actually,
explain later.
as you get hit by that, your vampire disguise would have faded.
Oh,
Because you're no longer using the dream spell.
damn it. Thought we were going to keep this professional.
Well, we were keeping it professional until you brought friends to a private meeting.
I did not bring them.
To be fair, I kicked down the door between the planes.
To be fair, I have a reputation. When they don't hear from me within 15 minutes, they assume the worst. What I'm saying is that I can bring a certain bit of interesting to the party. And that's where I think you're underestimating the value. Torturing someone like him for all of eternity. It's gonna get boring.
You are underestimating your value. You see, now that you are in my domain, I can just take you And apparently, your friends come as a package deal.
I look over at when she said him, did she gesture to Vincent?
Sure, I would guess so. Vincent is
Yeah.
kind of off to the side. He's kind of been tossed away like a rag doll.
I look over to him. I don't know what's gone on. I know this is a dream. I know that he's a fiend. You, however, have a weapon that he doesn't have power over. Your brother's blade. A part of him is with you.
And Vincent has been basically just wearing kind of like a shirt and pants, and that's it. Like really nondescript, plain clothes. No weapons on him, no nothing. And when Argenta says that, he looks down and he sees the rapier that Argenta gave him when you guys first located him is now in his hand. And he's no longer kind of hanging in the air, suspended. He's standing, and he's kind of staring at the blade, and he stares at Argenta. He seems completely confused. Like you just told him 2 + 2 = purple with a remainder of kumquat.
Also,
Sorry,
for clarification, Liliane not with us? Or with us? I understand. I
Lillian
understand.
will be with you.
Schrodinger's
Yeah,
Liliane.
it's
Well-
Schrodinger's Lillian. She's both here and not here, depending on.
Well, I was also wondering that, and also if Vala's body was here.
I mean, you can see Vala here. You don't see like an additional version of Vala or anything.
Yeah.
Thing. So you don't know. Like you both, the person in front of you looks like Vala. Whether that's the same Vala that was there before, or if her body's still there, you have no idea.
Okay, because I was going to leave the second question: is this us here, or is it our dreams? But
It's a fantastic question. You have no idea.
okay,
I mean,
There is no point of reference you have to be able to tell if you're in dream world or if you have suddenly found a way to pierce the veil.
I think Vala
Uh,
knows the answer to this question, but
I think Argenta knows by the feeling she has of her body feeling like absolute shit that she totally kicked the veil and somehow quantumed her way through.
Leave it to a barbarian to find a way to break down the door to reality.
But Argenta just is drawing her dagger and looking at Vincent. Now are you going to stand there and look confused? Or use that blade to help us save your ass?
And the demon in front of you turns to Vincent and goes, "What are you doing? Put that down, you imbecile. You can't use it."
he's remembering his strength now that he has his brother's sword.
if he can't use it, why do you care?
He turns to you. "Shut up. I'm not talking to you. I will deal with you in a moment. This one is already mine." And you see him start moving towards Vincent. And without thinking, Vincent just kind of holds a blade up. You can see kind of a strength there that he hasn't had. "I said, put that down."
Vincent, there's one thing mercenaries and soldiers know. Politicians' words die when their throats are slit.
Damn.
And I will have you guys all roll for initiative. But that is unfortunately where we're going to end it for tonight. As always, if you missed any of this, I do upload all these to my YouTube channels, youtube.com/TraderJody. Otherwise, again, it's going to be all for me today, and I will see you guys next time. All right? Bye-bye.